I wish we'd get off this and really focus on the enemy. I know there's a lot of politics here, but we're at war. We need to produce energy. As I told you, Code Point is now sending 80%, reversing Asia supply to European supply because they need it because we're at war.
Good morning from a cloudy and what looks like to be a rainy Nicosia, Cyprus. At least it's starting to drizzle a little bit, so we'll see how long I can last before I have to get under some cover. But it's Saturday morning, so I thought we would do a quick video and talk about what's going on in the news. You saw the opening segment with Majority Leader, Democrat Steny Hoyer, saying twice in like a 30-second clip, saying twice that we are at war. We are at war. When the U.S. declared war against Russia, I don't know. I haven't seen that announcement yet, either from Congress or from the Biden White House or from the Pentagon, for that matter. But Steny Hoyer is saying that the U.S. is at war. So I hope everyone is listening to the troubling rhetoric. And since we're talking about war and the Pentagon, I think the big news of the day is the fact that Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, called up the Minister of Defense for Russia, Shoigu. Now, this is the first time that they've talked since the special military operation started in late February. And Lloyd Austin basically wanted Shoigu to stop the military operation. He was calling on Russia to cease its operations and to stop the war. And that was pretty much the reason why Lloyd Austin called Shoigu. This is a significant event. It's very important that finally we're seeing the United States Pentagon and the Defense Ministry of Russia actually start to talk and communicate. That's a good thing. But what it also signals is that the United States and the Pentagon, unlike the State Department, they see the writing on the wall. I think that going beyond all of the propaganda and the BS and Ghost of Kiev and Snake Island and all of this stuff that we're seeing from the mainstream media and these DC think tanks, the Pentagon has very smart, capable professionals who are advising Lloyd Austin, and they're saying, look, this is going really, really bad for the Elensky regime, and we need to start reaching out to the Russians and see if we can find some sort of off-ramp where we save face, where the United States and the Biden White House can save face, where maybe Europe can try to save some face, even though Europe is undergoing an economic collapse at the moment, and it seems like the Europeans are more hysterical than the Americans and have no reverse gear. But look, they're reaching out, and the Pentagon, some people in the Pentagon, a certain faction is they're sounding the alarms, and they're saying we need to preserve whatever we have left with regards to Ukraine and this Ukraine project. So what I want to do then is I want to read you a really good blog post from Larry Johnson from Sonar 21, and this blog has excellent coverage of what's going on in Ukraine with regards to Russia, and it covers Russia really well. I mean, they have good coverage of what's going on in Russia in general, whether it's on a political, geopolitical, or military point of view. And Larry Johnson does a great job, and I'm going to link up the blog in the description box down below. And I'm just going to read you what he says. And it's important, this article, because he doesn't only cover the telephone call between Austin and Shoigu. What Larry Johnson also does is he talks about this latest incident in Lugansk, in the Severodonetsk region, close to Lysychansk, the city of Lysychansk, where the Russians were trying to cross a bridge, and they created a pontoon, trying to cross a river, and they created a pontoon bridge. And Ukraine artillery, from what we know, Ukraine artillery took out some Russian hardware. And there's been a lot of talk about this on Telegram and Twitter, that this is a massive Russian defeat. And 4, 5, 10 battalions were taken out, and 80 tanks, and all of this propaganda that's going on. It was a tactical win for Ukraine. It looks like it was a tactical win for Ukraine, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't change the trajectory of what's happening in Donbass. And there's an excellent summary, actually a very detailed analysis. I'm going to do a summary, but a detailed analysis as to what happened with this river crossing in the Severodonetsk region, and moving towards Lysychansk, and it's done by Jacob Dreizin. And I'll have that video on the Duran, but I will also link up to Jacob's blog as well with that video. It's somewhere in the middle of the video. I'll try to put a timestamp there so you can find it quickly. I mean, listen to the whole video. It's a great video from Jacob. But for those who just want to jump to his explanation as to what happened with this river crossing, this failed river crossing from the Russians, then I'll put a timestamp there so you can get to that information right away. And basically what Jacob is saying is that this looks like it was a tactical win for Ukraine, but it's not something, at least what I got from his explanation, this is not something that is out of the ordinary with regards to Russia's advance in this region in Lugansk, because they're advancing and they're looking to surround a significant number of Ukrainian military. Probably the largest number of Ukrainian troops are going to be surrounded next to what we saw in Mariupol. So this is going to be a significant cauldron that the Russians are about to start heating up. And what's left now is this river crossing, which is in North Lugansk, west of Lysychansk, I believe. And they're trying to cross this river because the Ukraine military blew up the bridges. And they've tried 2 or 3 times to cross this river. And it's been difficult. They haven't been able to do it. And Jacob Dreizin explains how the Russians they're going to do it. He believes that eventually they'll be able to cross this river, but it's taking time, and the Ukraine artillery is positioned. It seems that it's positioned in the city of Lysychansk in Donbass, and that is why the Russians aren't simply just taking out the artillery that's got this river targeted, because the Russians don't want to destroy. They're very hesitant to destroy cities in Donbass, and that is why, at least according to Jacob, that is why it seems that the Russians, up until today, have not just leveled this artillery that is preventing this river crossing and then preventing the eventual cauldron and encirclement of these Ukrainian troops. And so it looks like around a battalion suffered a defeat. Though much of the footage, we don't see bodies, Russian bodies there. We just see some artillery that's been taken out. And Jacob notes that it's pretty old artillery according to his assessment. So it doesn't look like this is new stuff, significant new stuff at all. So I'll put a link to his explanation because he explains it perfectly. But in essence, that's what's going on. The Russians will they'll get over the river, and they'll complete the cauldron, and they'll encircle a significant number of Ukraine troops. When it will happen, no one knows. Maybe it'll take a week, maybe it'll take 2 weeks or 3 weeks. We'll see. But if they get this cauldron in place, then it's going to be a big defeat for the Elensky regime. And I think that's the most important part of what's going on with Lugansk and Donetsk and Severodonetsk in this region. That is that the Elensky regime refuses to retreat. They refuse to move their forces back, even when they know that eventually the Russians will break through with regards to this river, and they will surround them. And we're getting reports, and I can't confirm these reports, but they're coming out now in the Russian media and in the Ukraine media that the Elensky regime is butting heads with Ukraine command. And the Ukraine military command, they're begging Elensky to pull the troops out while they still have a chance. get the troops out of harm's way and prevent this this cauldron and this encirclement. But it looks like Elensky refuses to do this. And Elensky must be getting this order from someone above Elensky. Where is he getting this order? Probably from the Azov guys and Yarosh, Dmitry Yarosh, and the right sector and the Azov guys that are controlling Elensky, and the State Department, Nuland and Blinken and these people. And I think that's why you're seeing the other side of this U.S. power struggle between the State Department and the Pentagon. You're seeing the Pentagon now call Shoigu, and they're trying to bring some sort of off-ramp or some sort of sanity to what's going on. And I'm saying the word sanity very lightly. I'm not saying that Lloyd Austin is now looking for peace or the Pentagon is looking for peace. But the way I see it, the State Department, the Azov guys, the right sector guys that are running Elensky, they're telling him, keep your troops there, do not retreat, because we will not lose face. You're going to fight to the last Ukrainian. And I think we're seeing the Pentagon say, crap, the Russians are going to break through. They're going to encircle these Ukrainian troops in Donbass, and we need to find an off-ramp, because with each passing day, things are going from bad to worse. So anyway, with that said, let me get to what Larry Johnson writes in his article. And I'm just going to read most of the article because it's fantastic. Once again, I'll put a link down below. Larry Johnson from sonar21.com. The title of the article is called The Art of Disinformation, Western Lies About the War in Ukraine. If you want to know how the war is going in Ukraine, you only needed to take note of one piece of news today. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin called his Russian counterpart. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke with his Russian counterpart for the first time since the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Pentagon announced on Friday. The call lasted approximately an hour and was at the request of Austin, who used the first call between the two in 84 days to urge Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu to implement an immediate ceasefire, according to a brief readout of the call. The two last spoke on February 18, a week before Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine. If Russia was losing or completely stuck in Ukraine, one would expect that Sergei Shoigu would be the guy calling Austin and begging for mercy. Well, that is not what happened. It was Austin that placed the call, apparently unconcerned about his recent public call to weaken Russia. Why would Austin urge Shoigu to implement an immediate ceasefire if Russia was getting its ass kicked? Russia getting whipped by Ukraine is exactly what Austin has called for. Remember? Quote, we want to see Russia weakened to the degree that it can't do the kind of things that it has done in invading Ukraine. If Russia is on the ropes, why call off the beating? You call off the fight when it's your guy getting pummeled. The Russian offensive in the Donbass has ramped up significantly in the last week, and it's carving up entrenched Ukrainian units with no hope of being reinforced or rescued by a counteroffensive. I want to show you a false battle map that is representative of the disinformation being fed to a gullible audience in America and Europe. This map was published by a goofy chick, Ashley Cornell, who betrays her ignorance of the military situation and failed to fact-check the wild claims from, quote, war expert Justin Bronk. And here's the map so everyone can see it. Take a look at the map for just a few seconds. So that's the map from Ashley Cornell, and she's taking her information from this quote-unquote war expert, Justin Bronk. And the article continues, let me highlight the lies for you. Start with Snake Island. Russia suffers losses trying to secure the island after a series of Ukrainian attacks. Wrong. And he gets into the disinformation of Snake Island. I'll skip over that. And I want to get to the part about what's going on in Kharkiv and Severodonetsk. Lie. The Ukrainians have not reached the Russian border, and at least one Russian battalion tactical group has crossed the Severodonetsk River and are expanding their position south towards Kharkiv. But this is a sideshow. The area is isolated, and there is only one significant road running from Kharkiv to Belgorod in Russia. Double lie. There is zero threat to the Donbass supply line. Those lines are south and east of Kharkiv. Just look at the map. The Donbass with the city of Lugansk is prominently displayed. Kharkiv is 230 miles northwest of Lugansk. The map does get two things right. Russia has taken Avdiivka and has surrounded Ukrainian troops at Severodonetsk. It is because of the progress Russia is making in the Donetsk that Lloyd Austin called Sergei Shoigu to beg for some mercy. I suspect that General Shoigu told Austin, "Iditse stuchitse po pesku," which is Russian for go pound sand. One more observation regarding the supposed defeat of the Russians north of Kharkiv on the border of Russia. The people writing on this cannot even get their facts straight about the size of a Russian battalion tactical group, aka BTG. Here are three different experts with their numbers. Each Russian battalion tactical group has around 700 to 900 soldiers. That's according to Justin Bronk. According to the DOD, on the 18th of April, there are almost a dozen BTGs in Mariupol, as each BTG has about 20 infantry. Then 11 times 200 gives us 2,000 infantry, according to Christopher Lawrence from Dupoy Institute. And a Russian battalion tactical group consists of about 1,000 troops, according to the Associated Press. The Western media has been crowing about the mighty Ukrainians wiping out a Russian BTG, yet no photos of Russian medical units recovering the dead and wounded from the battle site have been published on Ukrainian or Russian sites. But let us assume the claim is true. The Ukrainians reportedly ambushed and defeated one BTG. It is meaningless as far as the progress of the Russian war effort is concerned. If the Russians were concerned about the battle over a pontoon bridge, they would have deployed fixed-wing and rotary-wing support aircraft armed with rockets and delivered an artillery barrage on the attacking Ukrainians. That apparently did not happen. I am not privy to Russian war plans, but I do know that Russia would be rushing reinforcements to the area if this was an important battle. They are not. Even more telling is you are seeing video and photos of a Ukrainian horde pouring over the Russian border. This looks to me like one more failed attempt reminiscent of Weekend at Bernie's propping up a Ukrainian corpse and pretending it is alive. So that is the article from Larry Johnson from Sonar21.com. Once again, I'll put a link for that down below. But I think that Larry pretty much agrees or is in line with what Jacob Dryzen is saying, and that is that the Russians will eventually, they will accomplish their goals. This is just a tactical setback, a tactical defeat, if you want to call it that. But the Russians have been trying 2-3 times to get over this river, and eventually they'll get there. We've had similar incidents of Russians trying to create these pontoon bridges to cross over rivers. We had it in Izium, and it took them a while, but the Russians eventually, they accomplished their goals, and the rest is history with regards to what happened there. So this is, Larry Johnson says it best, it's a sideshow, because what's really happening is just an all-out defeat of the Ukraine military in the Donbass. And it's not saying that the Ukraine military isn't fighting well or isn't putting up a good fight or are pushovers. No, the exact opposite. The Ukraine military is fighting really hard, and they're putting up an amazing fight. But it's just not enough. It's not enough for what the Russians are bringing to the table in this war of attrition. And no one fights a war of attrition better than the Russians. And eventually they are going to get to where they need to go, which is over this river. And if Elensky would just listen to his generals, then these Ukraine troops will not be trapped in another cauldron. But for some reason, Elensky is just not listening. And I think that's because the State Department is not letting him listen to his generals. But the Pentagon seems to be, or at least parts of the Pentagon seem to be coming around to the fact that this is a bad situation for the Elensky regime. And it looks like Lloyd Austin is trying to find an off-ramp. So that's what's going on with these two important stories. Lloyd Austin calling Shoigu, and then all the FUD in and around what's going on in Severodonetsk. So with that said, let's do a clown world. And this clown world is going to be a quick one, but it is a clown world. And that is the fact that U.S. gas prices are now at an all all-time high. An all-time high. The cost of gasoline at petrol stations across the United States hit a new all-time record on Friday, according to the American Automobile Association, the AAA. The average retail cost of a gallon of gas, 3.785 liters, jumped to $4.43. The AAA, which tracks prices at more than 60,000 gas stations across the country, said the highest gas prices in the country have traditionally been found in the state of California, where motorists will have to pay an average of $5.87 per a gallon of fuel. The cost of global benchmark crude futures rose to $109.97 per barrel around 1:45 GMT in Friday trading, gaining 2.35%. The U.S. crude benchmark West Texas Intermediate WTI gained some 2.5%, climbing to $108.78 per barrel. So how is that economic war of attrition going for the Biden White House? Not too good, is it? Not too good at all. And we're just at the beginning. We are just at the beginning of all of this. So just wait for the for if and when Ursula van der Crazy and her EU cohorts. It's like I hear a kitten somewhere. I don't see anything. I hear it. Do you guys hear it? I don't know. Yes, there's a kitten or a cat somewhere. So yeah, I'm sure that that Ursula and the EU will eventually get their oil embargo, and that's going to send the price from 108 to God knows what, 120, 130. Anyway, I think I'll leave the video there, and I'm just going to go check and see if their kitten has trouble, or if something's going on there. I will leave it there, everybody. Alexander's channel, the Duran channel, and the Duran.locals.com. Take care.